All right, let's get this thing edited and out the door. Almost done. This is going to be fantastic.
Boring.
What the?
You're killing me, dude.
How are you in the... what is going on?
Unbelievably mind-numbingly boring.
How are you able to see what... Okay, now wait a minute. It's not that bad. Alright, you know what? That's enough for tonight. This is weird. I'm coming back to it at a different time. I'm done. Before we get too far in this video about how to make our videos less boring, let's actually define what we consider boring. And I'd say that's any shot that stays on the screen too long. If you have an interview shot, for example, and someone just keeps talking and talking, unless what they're saying is truly entertaining or truly engaging, after a while the same shot will sort of make you zone out and not pay attention to what they're saying. So if you change up the visuals every so often, then you'll start bringing your audience back in. So here I am on the cut page of Davinci Resolve 16. We have our clips in the media pool, and what I'll do is right click and I'll select one of them, have that be the timeline. There's an option to create a timeline based on the selected clip. You'll notice that now that we added it to the timeline at the bottom of the cut page, half of it is gray on the right hand side on that top level. And that's because what we have on is the boring detector, and that's that icon off to the left hand side. And if we click on it one more time, we'll be able to pull up the settings. So you'll notice that we have two options here, the top being boring clips. And that's any length of time that we determine the clip to be too boring. So in this case, we have it set to 38 seconds. So that is where you see the gray line. So what we're saying here is basically after 38 seconds, let's go ahead and change this up and give something else for the audience to look at. What I'll do now is change that to 5 seconds, and you'll notice how that gray area starts moving over to the left, because after 5 seconds from the right, it's already telling you at this point you need to enter something else. So without even adding another clip, we have an option across the top that says close up, and what that does is take the footage that you already have and zooms in on it a little bit. So you can punch in like this, or like this, or like this. Okay, maybe not that last one, but you get the idea. And this is especially good if you have 4K footage on a 1080p timeline. So let's go ahead and watch through this footage and you can see exactly what happened.
Hi and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us here at Quick to Cook. My name's Elmira and we have a special guest today, Emma, who's going to show us a really quick, really fast dish that you can whip up at home. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Now I made a cut on the bottom clip after our footage that was punched in. And you'll notice at our timeline now, there's still that gray area that extends out, despite there being the cut there. And the reason this happens is because it's the same exact clip. Again, all we're doing is punching in on the same footage that we already have. Now I've added a new clip on the right hand side there on the upper level, and that's why it turns to that darker gray. So what we'll do now is go ahead and drag that a little bit to the left, and you'll see how the different grays change. We've already used the punch-in option with the same footage, so what we'll do now to make it less boring is actually use different footage, footage from a different angle. So we'll go ahead and come up to the media pool, we'll select one of those different angles. One of those icons across the bottom says place on top, and what that will do is place the footage on top of wherever your playhead is. It will place it right on top of that footage. And if your footage isn't transparent, that's what you're going to see over anything that's beneath it. So let's go ahead and watch through the footage and see exactly what we did.
Hi and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us here at Quick to Cook. My name's Elmira and we have a special guest today, Emma, who's going to show us a really quick, really fast dish that you can whip up at home. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. So we're going to cook this together. I'm so excited to share with you this dish, one of my favourites. It's a prawn and basil spaghettini.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Now the next thing that we're going to talk about on that screen that we saw before isn't really how to make your video less boring, but it is something we should address because it's in the same window. And that's the jump cut options. A lot of the times when you're referring to a jump cut, it's where it's the same footage, but maybe a person moves a little bit, and it's noticeable when you watch the footage back. It's the same camera angle, but maybe their body shifted a little bit, so the point that you made the cut is very obvious. But the jump cut in this case is referring to any quick clip that's really short. Now, it doesn't have to be extremely short, but even something like 2 or 3 seconds is somewhat quick for there to be a transition to new footage. So to have it drag out a little bit longer is probably more desirable, and you want to set that as your parameter so you can see exactly which clips are that short, and you can either adjust them, or if you need to, you can get rid of them. Right now we have it set to anything less than 24 frames a second, so what I'll do is drag one of the clips so that it is less than 24 frames per second, and you'll see exactly what happens. Now the timeline turns red, and it's obvious which clips you need to think about maybe adjusting. So what can we do to make our videos less boring? We can add supplemental footage, what they refer to as B-roll. So if it's a talking headshot and we're talking about a bicycle, we can add some footage of a bicycle to cut to. As we did in this example, we can just cut to a different angle if we happen to have 2 cameras, or even if we don't have 2 cameras. If we happen to have something that's 4K capable, for example, we can always punch in on the footage that we have. Now that we know some of the options that we have on the cut page within Davinci Resolve 16, I did want to show you one more option there, and we can take everything that we've learned, and there's an icon that makes all this very easy, and that's called the Smart Insert tool. What this tool does is basically find the edit point for you. So in other words, you don't have to bring the playhead exactly at the point where you want the footage to be inserted. You can bring it close to where there's a cut point, and it will insert the footage there for you. And that's basically what it means by Smart Insert. Wherever it's close to is exactly where it's going to insert the footage. Thanks for watching. If you had any post-production or Davinci Resolve questions, go ahead and leave that in a comment below, or even channel suggestions if you happen to have an idea about a video that you want to see. Also, leave that in the comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.